And we've got breaking development coming in. In the first response coming in from Ministry of External Affairs, it has said that it was in fact the United States that encouraged India to purchase oil from Russia when the Ukraine conflict had started. India has said that we have been targeted by US and European Union for importing oil from Russia after the commencement of Ukraine conflict. But the truth was that India had started importing from Russia because traditional supplies were diverted to Europe after the outbreak of the conflict. US at that time actively encouraged such imports by India for strengthening global energy market stability. There lies bare the hypocrisy that is on display from the United States side and underlined by Trump's different statements coming in at different points in time. India has also said that India's imports are meant to ensure predictable and affordable energy costs to the Indian consumer. They are necessarily compelled by global market situation. However, it is revealing that the very nations criticizing India are themselves indulging in a trade with Russia. This is something that India has also highlighted earlier. Here is a report from my colleague.
Another day and another social media post by Donald Trump, the President of the United States, saying that he will impose furthermore tariff on India for its oil purchases from Russia. This time around, India didn't take it lying low. In a very hard-hitting statement, the official spokesperson of India's External Affairs Ministry, Jaiswal, very categorically pointed out that how this is unjustified. Washington, which is now criticizing India for its oil import from Russia, back in 2022 was very much encouraging it, given that it was balancing global energy supply. India in its statement has very categorically showed a mirror to both US as well as EU, the two powers who have been criticizing India or for its Russian oil import. India very categorically said that yes, India purchases Russian oil. Reason, the traditional suppliers were diverted to Europe to fulfill the European needs after the Russia-Ukraine war, and India was compelled to turn to Russia. In a very strong statement, by far the strongest statement for that matter, on the whole bullying of Washington, India has now responded. Remains to be seen where this tariff game goes. But for now, India has very categorically said that we are not going to take it lying low.
Joining me now is Foreign Affairs expert Pathikit Pain. Sir, one thing is for sure, that when India says that it is going to put its own national interest first, Trump getting upset about India not changing its dealings with Russia in any way despite its initial 25% tariff plus penalty threat clearly shows that we are standing our ground.
Well, absolutely. First and foremost, I want to congratulate and salute my government. I want to salute the government of India for standing firm and not opening the poultry, dairy and agriculture market to the American companies. And probably that's their frustration, because of which Trump is making these statements. I don't think he cares much for the Russian trade, but it is his frustration that India has not, succumbed to the bullying threats that he has been putting on India. Secondly, on the issue of, he is as if sympathizing with the people of Ukraine because they are dying. I mean, people in Ukraine can simply rejoice peace the moment NATO declares that they are not interested in expanding NATO. Trump can just call up NATO headquarters and ask them to do so, but he would not do that. Instead, he actually signed a mineral deal in Ukraine when people of Ukraine have been suffering the most. Blaming India for purchase of oil is probably the most ridiculous thing to happen, because, as was rightly mentioned by the MES spokesperson, if you look at it, the traditional suppliers, which means most of the Middle Eastern countries, were literally forced by the government of the United States to divert the supplies to both Europe and United States, which means the OPEC countries. Now, what are we left with? Our traditional supply from Iran was stopped in 2018. We were told by United States under CAATSA Act, Sanctions Act, that we cannot import from Iran anymore. So if tomorrow the United States wants us to stop import from Russia, all they need to do is to take away the sanctions from Venezuela and Iran. We will be happy to importing more oil from Iran, but that is not what they want to do because that will crash the price of oil. So I think there's a huge amount of hypocrisy. If you look at the enormity of trade that still exists between European Union and Russia is huge. They have been, doing it for a long time. There are third-party clauses that have been done by European Union through which they have been asking India to import more oil from Russia, refine it in India, and then sell it to European Union because then it becomes a third-party oil and then it is out of sanctions. So we are not making money by selling it to Europe. It is the Europeans who were asking for it. I think the Indian economy is too big to be disturbed of being in a problem if tomorrow that bit of oil is not exported by India to European Union. Secondly, I think if Trump presumes that his bullying tactics will make us succumb, our trade with the United States is just $130 billion. Our export is probably $80 to $90 billion, which comes to roughly around 2% of the GDP of India. So we may have some challenges, but it is manageable for us. On the contrary, look at the amount of even uranium, even today, rare earth minerals, even United States import from Russia. So to blame India for everything, it's ridiculous. Because look at the number of conflicts in which Americans have military industrial.
Yes, you might think that to blame India is ridiculous, but that is the default state of being for the opposition in India, and we've got reaction coming in on expected lines from the Congress party. Within minutes of Trump's latest threat, Congress once again latched on to US President's comments and targeted the Modi government. In fact, Jairam Ramesh was the first one to take on to social media platform X and say that this is what happens when foreign policy becomes all about image building instead of being about national interest. He said, and I quote, "So much for Howdy Modi, so much for Namaste Trump, so much for Ab Ki Baar Trump Sarkar, so much for BJP MPs hailing Narendra Modi as India's Trump card. Despite all the hugs, the handshakes, the high decibel bromance, my friend Donald has delivered yet another jolt." Here are reactions coming in from some other Congress party members.
प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप को यूक्रेन में मारे जा रहे लोगों की बड़ी फिक्र है, लेकिन गाजा और लबनान के अंदर इसराइल जो भूखे लोगों को, मासूम बच्चों का कत्लेआम कर रहा है, उसमें तो प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप खुद हिस्सेदार हैं। अगर प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ये चाहते हैं कि भारत पे दबाव बनाए, प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप के इस बयान का हमारे प्रधानमंत्री को सख्त अल्फाज में जवाब देना चाहिए।
President Trump of USA has alleged that India is buying crude oil from Russia and is selling it for profit. I think it is none of the business of the USA President to interfere in the internal affairs of the country, and Prime Minister Modi should also give a rebuttal on what President Trump has said.
Right, so familiar back and forth exchange of war of words between the opposition and the ruling party taking place there. We are yet to hear from the BJP on this matter, though. We have a statement, official one, coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs, stating in unambiguous way that India is going to put its interest before everybody else, and refuting US's allegations that India has been buying, not only buying petrol and fuel from Russia, but also selling it for profit, despite US's call for doing otherwise. Remember, initially, Trump had said that India is going to face a 25% tariff plus penalty for dealing with Russia for buying things like arms from the country. And now he has said, because India is not resisting from doing so, he is going to impose a further punishment in the form of higher tariffs on India. Remember, 7th of August is what the new deadline for those tariffs to come into effect was set to be. And now the Congress party in India is already blaming it on Modi's foreign diplomacy. However, in the latest, there is yet another divide coming in from the Congress party within the Congress's ranks over what is the party stand on Trump's latest threats. Two people have reacted. First of all, it is Karti Chidambaram, who happens to be the son of a foreign finance minister of India, P. Chidambaram, so somebody who might know a little bit about how trade works. He has said, and I quote, "We must act in our national interest, not be influenced by petulant tantrums of impulsive heads of state," clearly putting the onus on the US president over there. Karti had also made similar statements when Trump's initial statement was seen. Manish Tiwari, in the meantime, has said, "We must not lose sleep over it." And he's talking to Donald Trump and saying, "Your nation sent the 7th Fleet into the Bay of Bengal to deter us from reordering political map of South Asia. We withstood that." So, clear divide visible in Congress ranks, within Congress ranks over their stand on this matter as well.